So it sounds like, if I understand kind of what what CADTalk does kind of on the front end, and Shamil, what IFS provides on the back end. We talked about the implementing and all of that. It's like really having those processes well defined up front, getting those data flows, getting the correct data into IFS, getting the super users up and running. These are kind of key elements to successful projects for large, project-based manufacturing. Are there other things? Go ahead, Shamil. Go ahead.
So one of the things that I want to mention is like engineering data is also sometimes the connector between the engineer design system and the ERP and in other external systems like asset management systems and stuff, so forth and so forth, right? So inaccurate, like most of the time, if you look at an execution of a larger project, you have multiple systems involved. Right, so it could be a compliance test system or a testing system, etc., etc. So engineering data kind of glues everything together. So if you have inaccurate engineering data, that could lead down to breakdown of integrations between two systems, or even like leading to much larger compliance-related issues. Not being able to properly do validations or testing on separate systems that are working together to execute a larger project.
You mean for the customer's project? So the customer running IFS to be able to execute their project for compliance or quality or any of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. So without that correct data and having that information in IFS, those other parts of the project break down, and then it becomes more systemic. Shamil, can you give us kind of an overview, kind of what you think are like what customers should think about on embarking on a new project? Kind of just thoughts of wisdom that we didn't share already today.
I would say if a customer is planning on implementing IFS ERP specifically, I think they should really take a look at the functionality and come up with a scope, whether it's phased or big bang, that really kind of adds value to the organization, and try to kind of find the right balance between wanting everything versus what you really need to have in the first phase, right? And then try to use as much IFS functionality as it is and not customize the IFS system. IFS provides a really good layer of configuration that you can utilize, but let's not go and customize IFS and use the functionality as it is. And that also applies to integrations that are available. Try to use as much integrations available as it is, and rather than going and build it from scratch. So those are kind of like a couple of things that I wanted to mention for customers that are planning to embark on a journey of implementing IFS.
Yeah, I wanted to touch upon that a bit. I think maybe share something that I think I've learned is that these systems like IFS and CADTalk, I think any system over time builds in best practices to the software, builds in those as features, trying to deliver pre-built functionality so that they can fulfill most of what customers need. And so, sticking to those pre-built functionality really accelerates your time to value, but also simplifies everything. Whereas you try to go off on your own, you're doing, typically, like you said, doing something that may or may not be sustainable with the project.
Yep.
Dylan, can you talk a little bit about that too? I think kind of goes into a little bit of our philosophy in terms of a successful project.
Yeah, we are a platform product, right? So we are not a customization. You are not going to make a custom version of CADTalk to handle yours, but we are, in the same kind of realm of IFS where we are fully configurable, but we are a platform product. And I mean, that our kind of philosophy behind that is being able to maintain the ability for all of these systems that we integrate with being kind of cloud-based now, where updates can happen sporadically through the year. So being able to work towards those latest versions without causing any downtime to any customers, but while being a configurable tool to enable their business processes without having to create custom versions of CADTalk that could break when you have a custom integration tool or something, and you want to update to IFS 25.2, but now there's some data type change and now your integration is going to break, so you got to go rebuild it. And then every time there's updates, whether it's CAD or ERP.
You guys want to share any kind of final thoughts, final nuggets of wisdom before we wrap up and let the audience go?
I think I wanted to add, like, if you are planning to start an IFS implementation, I think you should really build a strong internal team as opposed to relying on too much on the implementation partners like us. Because at the end of the day, what I've seen is having a very strong internal team is what makes the project successful. And that helps the budget, that also helps the timelines, and their involvement in the project is crucial. So make sure when you align the strategy, you put in a strategy where you can get the internal team up to speed and knowledgeable on the product as soon as possible, so that they can own the decision. They can make, not only they can make informed decisions, good decisions, better decisions, but also they can own the decisions throughout the project, even after go live, to sustain it.
And so, Chamal, to your point there with saying that, would you say that a lot of your reasoning for building a team that way is more so, instead of you as the partner having to figure out everything unique to their business, they're putting together a team that really knows the business really well, and you're able to kind of just more help them with the IFS side while they're able to share everything about their business with you, so you can more effectively help coach along the IFS journey?
Yes, that is true, because no two businesses are equal. No matter how much standardized the process is, there is a way that that business needs to do it so that they can take the competitive advantage against their competitors, right? So that information usually comes from the business, and we should not lose that information. We should embrace it. We should embed that into the IFS implementation. And if you don't do that, your IFS implementation, you might implement an ERP system, but you're not going to get the competitive advantage and what you really wanted to get out of the ERP system.
Yeah, and for you, you know better than anyone how to configure IFS, how to use it day to day, and all of that. But with being able to enable the company culture and what their kind of typical business operations are and everything, it's really difficult. Like, I'm sure you can get hired and implement IFS for somebody, but to your point, what is their competitive advantage if you don't have that strong team that really knows the company well? How are you able to help them enable that and continue progressing?
Yeah, you'll be surprised how certain little things that give customers a very big competitive advantage against their competitors. Like maybe the way they bill, maybe the way they structure their warranties, or maybe how they invoice, or report labor or cost their materials. It's really it really boils down to some of the very basic fundamental things, and only the company employees know that especially those who've been there for a long time.
Well, guys, this has been great. I really got some key nuggets, some great information that my takeaways. So, like the last part you said there, really is empowering the company, right, to be successful, like empowering them. Others is think about that phased approach. Try to start. It sounded like to me, start small and build on it, right? Find successes, find key wins, take the help where you can, leveraging, whether that's pre-built integrations or leveraging pre-built functionality in IFS, and spend a bit more time on the planning. Those are kind of my key takeaways. So, this has been a great conversation, Shamil and Dylan. I really, appreciate you guys coming today. Doesn't look like we have any more questions. So this is going to wrap up our webinar series. Again, if you want to connect with Shamil and WIA, please use the link there, the QR code. Of course, you want to get to CADTalk. Feel free to visit the website as well, cadtalk.com. Shamil, thanks again, and Dylan, thank you.